back to A Well-Designed Business. My name is LuAnn Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company WindowWorks from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. Before I get to the show, I want to thank our sponsor, Mr. Steam. Do you know what I've noticed going around the country talking to interior designers who are designing at the top, the luxury market? These designers are consistently closing high-end bathroom projects because they're giving their clients a reason to say yes to an investment like a high-end bathroom. And more than ever before, steam and sauna are those reasons. Mr. Steam has been making steam since 1917, and now they've built something for you. It's called the Virtual Spa Tool. You can go in, enter the shower dimensions, the wall materials, your client's wish list, and it hands you a complete specification at list price. No back and forth, no guesswork. Now, you have active clients who are into their health and wellness and fitness, and this is worth 10 minutes of your time to go in, play around with the tool, and learn what you didn't know about steam, because you need to be the expert in the room. Somebody else is going to be. It should be you. Go to luannigara.com/Mr. Steam. All right. Last week, I released an episode called Can We Stop Apologizing for Being a Business? This episode was about an industry article covering the arrest of an interior designer who was accused of stealing $67,500 from a client. My podcast was how the article turned this unspeakable thing into a conversation about whether the rest of you honest, trustworthy interior designers need to open your books, hand clients view access to your bank accounts, and share your markup with clients in order to prove you're trustworthy. Well, I called bull on that. And if you haven't listened to it, go listen to that, because today's episode is a follow-up and it's not going to make much sense without it. So we've got it linked in the show notes. Here's why I wanted to come back to this. After that episode aired, I heard from several of you, all good, by the way, yay, thankfully, and two messages in particular and one Facebook post expressed things that I thought were worth picking this up again, okay? The first came in as a DM to me. This one actually confirmed my fear and my outrage at how the reporting of this incident went down. This designer explained to me that she had heard of and read about this arrest before she heard about it on my podcast. And she said, initially, after reading the report of the arrest, she actually sat and asked herself, how would she or should she respond if a client of hers questioned her about this reported theft? In her DM to me, she said, I don't think I would have had a good enough answer until I heard your podcast. Before listening to your point of view on the podcast, I would have fed into the same familiar perception of our industry that the article did. Okay, what is that perception, you ask? Well, go listen to the show, because the article included some not so nice comments from consumers about you, the designer. And that right there is the core of last week's show and this one as well. The reason for me writing these episodes. The theft is unthinkable, no question. But just as I suspected, the article makes you second guess yourself. Rather than helping you have that conversation with a client, trying to turn a stranger's crime into you having to defend your own long history of, I don't know, not being a criminal, it circled the drain of net cost disclosure instead. One has nothing to do with the other. Say a specific restaurant has a terrible night, food poisoning makes the local news. Does everyone walk into a different restaurant and say, how do I know I'm not going to get sick here too? Nobody asks that. One restaurant's failure has nothing to do with the one you're standing in. Now, there's a caveat, right? Restaurants have health departments. Pilots have the FAA. Our industry has no overarching regulatory body. We do have ASID. However, it is a voluntary membership society. It does have standards, exams and degrees, continuing education, a code of ethics, has all the things, but you don't have to join ASID in order to be an interior designer. Beyond that, about 30 states have some form of legislation around the design business, but it's almost all about protecting title. And here's what it's not about. Not one word about regulating your pricing. I even checked with the one industry that comes closest to markup disclosure law, car dealers, who in some states are required to label when they've added a price above MSRP. Right? Above. They have to say if they put the price of the car above MSRP. So even there, the dealer's actual cost of the car, not part of that. That stays private. I couldn't find any law anywhere. And believe me, I went down the AI rabbit hole where you are required to disclose your net cost. So why do we keep doing this like the price for being trusted? Now, this isn't a comment on whether our industry should organize around real standards someday. That's actually for bigger minds and bigger brains than mine. But hear this, if it ever does, right? I don't think that would ever mean handing over your markup. That's a completely different question. No, one doesn't have anything to do with the other. And if that ever does come to pass, you know I will get involved. Anyway, there's one more thing, right? This designer had already been accused of something similar once before in a separate civil suit involving a different client's money. If she's guilty of what she's now charged with, it means a person who was already facing an accusation did it again. That's not evidence our industry needs to disclose profit margins. That's evidence of a bad actor doing what a bad actor does, regardless of any code of ethics, any continuing education requirement, or any state title. A crook is a crook. Compliance doesn't fix character. Come on. Another message, I told you there were a couple of messages in a Facebook group, came in from someone who knows me really well. She told me, and I appreciated this, she told me that she appreciated what I said, and that she said it felt like I was standing up for the industry, and that meant something to her. But then she said something else. She said if somebody had told her ahead of time that I was going to do a show on this, she would have expected a good old rant from me, okay? But when she left me the message, she said that she noticed the opposite, my calm, slow, measured tone. And she said hearing that tone instead of coming in hot showed her how powerful that mechanism can be. Staying calm when you know you're right, rather than raising your voice to prove it. She said that the episode felt like a love letter to the industry. I kind of like that. That was amazing. Now, this brings me to yet another observation in the week since reading that article and airing that show. I noticed in a Facebook group over the weekend, a designer posted frustrated, upset, exasperated because her client had asked for, quote, all the receipts for all of the invoices. And here it was, a gabillion designers jumping in, red flag, refer them to your contract, section 2, article 5, blah, blah, blah. Thankfully, though, there were designers who had the same reaction I did, which is, why do you assume they mean your net cost invoices? When they say invoices, why do you assume they mean your invoices from your vendor? Consumer hat on. Take your designer hat off. Think about it. If you needed an accounting of your previous month's or year's purchases with any business, regardless of whether it was Amazon or forehands, if you sent an email or you did an account history search, you'd say, provide me receipts for all the purchases I made with you. Are you expecting them to go ahead and get all of their net costs in connection with doing business with you? Or are you simply asking for your own receipts all in one place, organized and listed, right? It's a valid thing. Your clients are they're buying tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars worth of stuff for you. When they say, could you send me a list of all the invoices? I think just assume they mean the list of everything you charge them, not everything you paid somebody else. Okay? Why do we jump right to, they want my net costs? I have a saying, and every single one of my chairman of the board coaching clients knows it very well. And it's this: where do babies come from? When I say that to them, that's a signal to them that they're overthinking it, reading way too much into whatever question, statement, or action their client or trade partner is taking at the moment. It's the signal to stop and to truly understand the actual question in front of them instead of running off to crazy town. So here's what I mean. First, we always consider the source. Who's asking the question? What are they entitled to? And what are we willing to share with them? That's our first thing. We look at the question and we think, who is this person asking? Are they entitled to it? And what about this answer am I willing to share? Second, we have to actually pay attention to the legitimate question being asked. Don't add to it. Don't read more into it. Just the actual question or answer. See, in that example above, reading more into it is reading, oh, they want my invoices. How about we just take the question at face value, right? And then the third part of it is answer with complete honesty based on the first two things. Who's asking? Are they entitled to it? And what are we willing to share? And what are they actually asking? Right? So, we have a mom. She's sitting there. She's many months pregnant, and her 4-year-old daughter runs up to her, sits on her lap, and says, "Mom, where do babies come from?" Well, what do we know? She's 4. What kind of information is she entitled to? What's actually helpful to her? And what is her actual question? So the answer for our 4-year-old is babies come from mommy's belly. It's accurate, it's truthful, it's good for the 4-year-old. Off she goes, smiling and content. So, can you please supply me with a list of all your invoices and receipts for our project? Yep. Here's the list of every invoice I sent you with every date, every check number, or credit card number you used. Thanks so much. See you, bye. Okay? Sometimes that's all they're asking for. And we're about to answer a 4-year-old like she asked an 11-year-old's question, right? Now, when the 7-year-old comes and says to mommy, but mom, how does the baby get in your belly? Now we say, daddy put it there. Or these days, sometimes the doctor put it there, like my granddaughter Bella. That's a different lesson altogether, right? Anyway, your client says, oh, thanks for sending my invoices. I meant your invoices, your costs. Here it comes. Your answer to me is, why would you ask that? Or why would you need that? Oh, well, because I have to be sure you're treating me fairly. Oh, you do? By ensuring that I run a profitable business? Well, thank you so much for your concern. I do appreciate it. But as a for-profit business, I buy wholesale from my trade sources and I sell them at retail to you. Much like the suit you're wearing, the car you're driving, the food in your fridge. Yeah, just like every other business on the whole dang planet, right? Now, for the rare times when a client pushes back even further, only then, not when you imagine it, and only after the first 2 normal attempts don't work, now we have the 11-year-old. Mom, I know the baby comes from your belly, and I know that daddy puts it there. But how does daddy put it there? Well, okay, sweetie, pull up a chair. Let's talk, right? Same with your customer. Give them the shortest, honest answer to their question, and 9 times out of 10, they're satisfied, just like the 4-year-old and our 7-year-old. But when you have that 11-year-old, you'll need to say to your client, let me tell you how design is born, sweetie. Pull up a chair. Okay, this is a business, and as a business, I'm in it to make money. Yes, along my journey of making money, I will also create hundreds of beautiful rooms. That's my life's work, and that's how I make a living. If you need me to remind you of the agreement that we signed, I can and I will. But if you think that seeing my net costs will somehow tell you I'm doing a good job or a fair job or an honest job, you're mistaken. Because in order to know that, you need to ask a completely different set of questions. You need a completely different way to assess me. Instead of asking me what I paid for a sofa, a light, or a pillow, you need to be asking yourself and asking of me, did I deliver the complete design plan, refined to the criteria of your home, your taste, your investment level, and your timeline? Then, when considering the execution of that plan, ask yourself and ask of me, did I have regular meetings with you, answer your emails, phone calls, texts, and smoke signals, keeping you informed of the project's progress and answering your questions and concerns along the way? And then ask yourself and ask of me, did I invoice when I said I would, according to the protocol we agreed to? Did I record your monies properly and provide you an accounting of them as needed and asked for along the way? Ask yourself and ask of me, did I act as your advocate in every single meeting with every single person involved, whether you were there or not, from the architect to the builder to the tile guy to the cabinet maker, all the way down to the freight company? Ask yourself and ask me, did I handle every detail of sourcing, pricing, ordering, receiving, delivering, so you could work, travel, sleep, or go to yoga? Ask yourself and ask of me, did I transform your home into a beautiful, glorious reality that on your best day, in your wildest dreams, you couldn't have imagined without me? Ask yourself and ask of me, do all of the products perform the way they should, from sofa fabrics to lighting to plumbing fixtures to the towel bars in the bathroom? And did they fit in every door? And are they perfectly proportioned for every room? Ask yourself and ask of me, have I delivered on everything we outlined, agreed to, and mutually signed on exactly as your contract states? Yeah. You see, that's how you determine whether I'm treating you fairly and honestly. Now, let's go back to my friend and her expectation that last week's show might have been a rant, or probably would have been a rant. Look, I can rant like it's nobody's business. And believe me, in telling Vinny the story and some of my colleagues before I actually wrote and recorded that article, oh yeah, I was raging and ranting. But when we're with our friends, you with your design friends, when you're with your family and you're talking about certain clients, that's one thing, that's blowing off steam. And that's what I call talking in my inside voice, the voice in my head that wants to call out every dumb thing people say. Okay? But when you're with the client and you need to be heard and you want to be listened to, you have to be calm. You have to slow down. You want to and need to be in control of what you're saying. Not because you don't feel something about it, but because you do feel something about it. And the feeling you're calling on in that moment is your trust in the truth. You know it in your gut, in your soul, in your bones, that you are entitled to make a living, that what you are doing is valuable. It's valuable, right? Whether it's you selling the sofa to the client or Kravitz selling it to you, profit is the entitlement of the person who is selling it, right? You are entitled to be profitable. You must know your value so well and trust in it so much that you don't have to yell about it, whine about it, beg for it, or plead for it. It is, therefore, it is. So, the next time a client questions your fee, pushes you on pricing, asks you to justify your profit, you don't need heat and rage. You need to say the truth plainly and let the pause and the quiet do the work. Calm isn't the absence of conviction. Calm is what conviction sounds like when you have no doubt of it. And I'll tell you this too. If this news cycle rattled you, especially if you're newer to this business, it's okay. But it doesn't mean something's wrong with you or your business. It means one thing. Something is wrong with anyone who would steal, regardless of whether it's a designer or a CPA. And well, it means another thing too. It means we don't question the honest, profit-making business practices of every designer out there because there's an alleged criminal. If you are a good, honest interior designer, lead with that. If a client mentions that story to you, you do not have to defend yourself or the industry. You can simply say, I saw that too. It's awful. It broke my heart. And if they push you further and ask how they can know you won't do the same thing, you say, how do I know you won't rip me off? I mean, statistically, it's a whole lot more common for a client to stiff a designer on that final invoice than the other way around. Well, I mean, actually, I don't want you to say that. That's my inside voice talking, right? We don't say that out loud, even though it's true. And it's too bad that article never once talked about how you can protect yourselves. I digress. Out loud to the client who questions you and says, how do I know if you won't do it because she did it? You say this, it's completely different and it's legit. Vet me, dig deep. Look at my work, my references, my standing in the community, my Google reviews, my testimonials, my professional relationships. Look at my business for evidence of my integrity. Don't look at her business and take it as an indicator of anyone else's integrity other than hers. Here's what I want you to walk away with. You now have the core idea for 2 scripts. They need to be your own words, right? One for the client who brings up the headline, one for the client who questions your price. Use them the same way. Calm, steady, no apology in your voice. Okay? The thing is, knowing the things I've said to you and the words and being able to say them calm and steady without flinching when a client is looking you in the eye, I get it. It requires more than a script. It requires your belief. That's what I was telling you up top. It requires your belief. And if you don't have that yet, if you need advice on that, if you need to be educated on that, if you need a framework built for your specific business, your client base, your client pricing model, that's why I built the Boardroom for Creatives. It's not a course. It's one-on-one access to real experts, working and former interior designers who have actually sat across the table from a client pushback and held their ground. People like Ariane Belazar, Kate O'Hara, Rick Campos, and Erica Ward. These are all designers with real track records of building profitable businesses and navigating exactly these conversations in real life, not theory. You book a session, you bring your specific situation, you walk out with a solution that's yours, not just words memorized from a podcast. Although, put them in your memory bank, use them, pull them out of your back pocket. But I understand, I see it in my own coaching. It takes a minute to go from, the feeling of being on your back foot and owning the conversation. So if this podcast got you there, yay you. If you need help, then I suggest go to theboardroomforcreatives.com to learn more. All right? Either way, I want the best for you. You're in business. You're in business. Your interior design that you love, that's fun, that's fulfilling, that you're passionate about is a business. You're entitled to run it like one. All righty? Thank you for joining me today. I do appreciate you. Decide to be excellent. Thank you for joining me today. This podcast is a production of LuAnn Nigara, Inc. If you want to know more about me, my books, or LuAnn University, go to LuAnnNigara.com. And if you are interested in having WindowWorks help you with your next window treatment or awning project in the New York, New Jersey metro area, go to WindowWorksNJ.com to learn more. Have an excellent day.